71-year-old died in his sleep overnight, 4 deadly bedtime traps you're falling into after 70. Last night, John Miller, 71, kissed his wife goodnight, turned off the TV after polishing off a hefty roast beef sandwich at 11 p.m., and shuffled to bed with a tall glass of water still dripping in his hand, a routine so normal, so mundane, you've probably done it tonight. He'd laughed with his daughter Emily over the phone just hours before, recounting how he'd chased James, his grandson, around the yard that afternoon, his voice steady, his spirit bright, no doctor's warnings, no glaring health alarms, just a regular evening like any other. The clock ticked past midnight, the house hushed except for the heater's hum, cranked high because John liked it cozy. By morning, his side of the bed was still warm, his pillow dented from where his head had rested, but John was gone, eyes closed, chest still, a silent thief snatching him away in the dark. His wife Mary stumbled to the phone, hands trembling, sobbing to Emily, "He was fine yesterday, he was fine." But he wasn't. For bedtime traps, small, everyday habits you're likely falling into right this second, had coiled around him, tightening with every night he brushed them off. Science screams what his family didn't hear: after 70, these routines aren't quirks, they're killers, jacking up the odds of strokes, heart attacks, and sudden death by the hour. John's story isn't a fluke. 27% of seniors slip away like this, unnoticed, while families sleep steps away, oblivious. Are these traps strangling your parents, your spouse? You keep reading. These 4 deadly habits are ticking bombs in your bedroom, and by the end, you'll know how to defuse them before the clock stops for good. Trap 1: Eating heavy meals too late at night. Emily couldn't erase the image. Her dad, John, hunched over a plate of leftover meatloaf at 10 p.m., the kitchen glowing with the TV's flicker, a habit etched into his bones from decades of late shifts at the factory. The rich smell of gravy wafted through the room as he scooped up a forkful, grease glistening on his fingers. "Keeps me full," he'd grin, wiping his chin with a napkin, the same grin he flashed the night he died, his teeth faintly yellowed from years of coffee and cigarettes. Mary had shrugged it off, years of late dinners together, plates clinking as they sat at the chipped formica table, a ritual from when he'd come home dusty from the mill, boots thudding on the linoleum. No harm done, right? Wrong. That night, as he lay back on his pillow, the meatloaf sat like lead in his stomach, churning beneath his faded flannel pajamas. His chest tightened with an ache he'd dismissed 100 times before, popping an antacid from the bedside drawer with a grunt of just heartburn. By dawn, he was cold, the half-eaten plate still in the sink, grease congealed into a crust, a greasy tombstone to a trap Emily never saw coming. She replayed those nights, John leaning back after a late pizza run, box grease-stained on the counter, belt unbuckled to ease the pressure, joking about room for dessert as his breath grew heavy, the cheese stretching in long strings as he took another bite. Or weekends when he'd fry bacon at 10:30 p.m., the sizzle popping in the pan, grease splattering as he piled it with eggs, a feast he'd savor with a glass of milk, the kitchen smoky as he hummed an old tune. Emily had laughed then, snapping photos of him with James, ketchup smeared on his shirt, a grandpa sneaking the kid an extra strip now, those moments twisted into warnings she'd missed. Science says, this isn't harmless indulgence, it's a loaded gun pressed to your chest. A 2019 study in the American Heart Journal found that eating within 2 hours of bedtime spikes heart attack risk by 40% in those over 70. After 70, your metabolism crawls, digestive enzymes weaken, stomach acid sputters like a dying engine, and food sits like a brick, pressing on your system long after lights out. Lying down amplifies it, gravity fails, acid reflux surges up your throat, burning your esophagus raw, sometimes spilling into your lungs if you choke in your sleep. Chest 2021 notes this doubles pneumonia risk in seniors. Blood pressure climbs as your heart pumps harder, a ticking bomb for collapse, per a 2020 circulation report linking it to nocturnal hypertension. Digestive Diseases and Sciences 2020 adds, chronic GERD from late eating doubles stroke risk by inflaming airways and spiking glucose. Silent chaos while you dream. Real life echoes, you've done it, haven't you? Uncle Bill, 72, scarfing spaghetti at 11 p.m., sauce dripping as he watched TV, bragging, I sleep like a baby." Months later, his wife found him gasping, clutching his chest. Paramedics said heart attack, triggered by a midnight feast, his arteries clogged from years of comfort he never questioned. Or Linda from church, 75, nibbling chocolate cake before bed, crumbs on her nightgown. Acid reflux choked her awake, her cough raspy, lungs scarred by aspiration pneumonia until she landed in the ICU, tubes snaking from her nose as her kids prayed. John's trap echoed. Emily recalled his groans after pizza, the way he'd rub his chest, his breath heavy climbing stairs. Symptoms he laughed off. You feel it, that bloat after a late burger, grease coating your tongue, the burn creeping up as you lie down, pulse racing when it should slow. Last night chips over the sink, a sandwich after the news. Did it sit heavy? Did you cough, wake restless? It's a flare you're ignoring. Escape the trap, move dinner to 6 p.m., 3 hours before bed. Let your stomach empty, your heart rest. Craving a nibble? A handful of almonds, a slice of apple, a sip of chamomile tea. Light whispers, not heavy shouts. John didn't know. Do you? Trap 2, drinking too much liquid before bed. John's bedside table told a grim tale, a tall glass of water, half drunk, beads of condensation clinging to the rim the morning he died. Gotta stay hydrated, he'd say, gulping it after his sandwich, his Adam's apple bobbing, a ritual Mary never questioned, drilled into him by health magazines and a doctor's offhand advice years ago. That night, he woke 3 times, stumbling to the bathroom, slippers scuffing the hardwood, breath short as he gripped the doorframe. The last trip, he didn't make it back. His heart gave out mid-step, body crumpling, the glass tipped over, water pooling on the rug like tears. A fall Emily couldn't unsee in her nightmares. She remembered him with James on the couch, a tumbler of iced tea in hand, watching cartoons past 9 p.m., ice clinking as the boy giggled. John sipping away, oblivious to the clock. Or nights he'd nurse a mug of decaf coffee after dinner, steam rising as he told mill stories, hands wrapped around it, liquid piling up, unnoticed. Science says, it's not just an annoyance, it's a death trap. Journal of Urology 2020, 60% over 70 suffer nocturia. Weak bladders flood from late liquids, muscles slack, capacity shrinking. American Geriatric Society 2021, each trip risks postural hypotension. Blood pressure drops when standing, causing dizziness and a 25% higher fall risk. Hips shatter, heads crack. Sleep Medicine 2022, frequent waking slashes melatonin, raising blood pressure 10% overnight and dementia odds by 30%, per Neurology 2021. Brain damage sown in the dark. Real-life echoes, you've seen it, haven't you? Aunt Helen, 72, sipping tea before bed, keeps me healthy, until 2 a.m., when she tripped over the rug, cracked her head on the bathroom door, waking in the hospital unable to name her kids, memory gone from a fall she didn't see coming. Or Tom from Poker Night, 74, chugging water, proud of hydration. His wife heard a thud, found him by the toilet, wrist broken, stroke stealing his speech by dawn. John's glass wasn't unique. Emily recalled his grumbles, too many trips, the way he'd sway, breath huffing as he shuffled back. You know it, that full bladder waking you at 3 a.m., staggering down the hall, head spinning as lights blind you. Last night tea, juice, just one more sip, did you stumble? Heart race? It's havoc, not health. Escape the trap, drink by 4 p.m., taper to sips after dinner. No caffeine, that diuretic devil doubles the risk. John didn't see. Do you? Trap 3, sleeping in a room that's too warm. John loved his bedroom, cozy, thermostat at 75 degrees Fahrenheit, heavy wool blankets piled high, a habit from chilly Ohio winters. That night, the heater hummed, air thick, sweat beaded on his brow as he slept. Emily found him drenched, face flushed. Even in death the room a sauna he'd never questioned. Mary had teased, you'll bake us alive, but he'd laughed until silence took him. She remembered him stoking the fireplace as a kid, family huddled close, popcorn popping, his face ruddy, room glowing. Even now, he'd doze with James under blankets, football on, heat high. Emily shedding her sweater, never suspecting danger. Science says, It's not comfort, it's a roast. Sleep Medicine 2021, above 68 degrees Fahrenheit, hearts work 15% harder in seniors, tripling heart attack risk as blood pumps to cool you. Journal of Applied Physiology 2020, thermoregulation weakens, sweat fails, heat builds, dehydrating you into clots, per circulation 2022, 20% higher stroke odds. Nature Reviews Neuroscience 2021, warm rooms cut REM sleep, slashing immunity, 30% inflammation festers. Real life echoes, you felt it, right? Grandpa Frank, 74, loved flannel and heat, woke sweating, chest pounding, dead by stroke next time, sheets soaked. Mrs. Carter, 76, piled blankets, clot stole her mid-sleep, room stifling. John's cheeks flushed, snores jagged, Emily saw it. You know it's sticky sweat, thudding heart, groggy days. Last night extra blanket, heater up, did you wake breathless? It's war, not warmth. Escape the trap, 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, cotton sheets, cracked window, cool air, not a furnace. John didn't feel, do you? Trap 4, sleeping in the wrong position. John slept flat on his back, arms splayed, a habit from army days, snoring like a train. Mary nudged him often. That night, snores stopped, silence too deep, then death. Emily learned, sleep apnea, his airway blocked, heart starved, his pose the killer. She recalled him sprawled in the recliner, mouth open, TV blaring, or napping with James, back flat, breath uneven, photos she'd taken, unaware of the risk. Science says, it's roulette, not rest. Chest Journal 2022, backsleeping UPS apnea, 50% after 70 tissues collapse, oxygen drops. European Heart Journal 2021, 33% higher cardiac arrest risk, heart strains against low air. Journal of Cardiac Failure 2020, right side presses heart, raising failure odds 15%, lungs drown quietly. Real life echoes, Uncle Robert, 76, snored flat, wife laughed until silence, heart quit midnight. Mrs. Evans, 73, woke foggy, apnea led to stroke. John's gasps woke Mary, he blamed allergies. You feel it snoring, dry throat, skull ache. Last night back or right, breathless, wake up. It's struggle, not sleep. Escape the trap, left side, pillows to hold heart free, lungs open. John didn't shift, will you? On the porch days later, Emily sat with Mary, a blanket over her knees, John's absence raw. Was he okay? Emily choked, tears falling. Mary's eyes dimmed. He was tired, honey. Emily saw the trap's late meals, water, heat, backsleeping, and acted. Soup by 6 p.m., sips for Mary, cool room, left side rest, James taped drawings, brightening her walls. One dusk, Emily brought tea. Tell me about Dad, she said. Mary smiled, he spilled coffee on his shirt, weak but warm. Emily held her hand, tears falling, cherishing, not fixing. Conclusion, a call to act, thrive, and cherish. John's death wasn't fate, it's a blazing warning, a spotlight on 4 traps you can sidestep tonight. Science doesn't whisper, it roars. 40% heart attack risk from late meals, like John's sandwich burying his heart in grease, 60% nocturia from water gulps, turning a glass into a stumble that snapped his life, 20% stroke odds from a warm room, baking his blood into clots, 50% apnea from backsleeping, choking his breath until silence, 1 numbers that scream you're not untouchable after 70. But here's the lifeline, these aren't chains you hold, the power to break free, to rewrite your nights, to wake not just breathing, but thriving, your pulse steady, your spirit ablaze. Start now, push dinner to 6 p.m., let the clock guard your heart as the sun dips, a light soup or a few almonds settling gently, not a heavy load crushing your chest. Sip water through the day, taper off by dusk, small tastes to nourish, not floods to drown your steps in the dark. Cool your room to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, fling a window wide, trade wool for cotton, let the breeze cradle your sleep, not heat roast your veins. Roll to your left side, pillows your shield, free your heart to pump easy, your lungs to drink deep, no gasp stealing your dawn. These aren't burdens, they're bridges to more mornings. Coffee steaming as grandkids clamber onto your lap, sunrises painting your window with hope, days where your laughter echoes through rooms you've built with love. John didn't see the cost you can, and every shift is a brick in a fortress of health, a gift to your body, your years, your soul. Live joyfully dance with your aches, let them sway with you like old friends, laugh through your wrinkles, each line a trophy of battles won, share stories that spark eyes wide, tales of spilled coffee, of muddy shoes, of hands that held tight through storms. You're not a shadow, you're a beacon, a root of wisdom and warmth anchoring families to the earth. Cook that light meal early, sit at the table as the pot simmers, the clink of spoons a quiet song, sip tea with a grin, the warmth in your palms a soft joy, sleep cool and easy, your dreams a tapestry of peace. Proof 70 isn't a fade-out, it's a flare-up, a stage for vitality, for meaning, for a love that grows richer with every sunrise you seize. You're not here to dwindle, you're here to dazzle, to plant joy in every creak of your bones, to be the heartbeat of a home that thrives because you're still in it, still fighting, still shining. And you sons, daughters, grandkids, don't let them slip into the dusk alone. Don't leave them with late plates, full glasses, warm rooms, wrong poses. Check on them, peek into the kitchen as the clock nears 9, see if that sandwich lingers, glance at the bedside, count the water rings staining the wood, feel the air, turn down the heat if it clings, watch them sleep, nudge them gently to the left if they sprawl. Sit with them not just to fix, but to feel. Listen to their tales of first dates, of scraped knees they bandaged, of nights they stayed up for you. Hold their hands, weathered and strong, feel the pulse that carried you here. Let them know they're not forgotten, they're treasured, their light still guiding you home. Call them tonight, even if the line crackles with static. Hear their voice, plan a coffee, a walk, a moment to sit in their glow. Hug them tomorrow, tight and true, feel their heartbeats sync with yours, a rhythm you'll miss when it's gone. Cherish them always, they're not just surviving, they're shining, and they need you to see it, to hold it close, to keep it burning bright. Take this night right now and act. Move that meal to dusk, pour less water as stars rise, lower the heat to a whisper, shift your sleep to freedom. One change could weave a decade, 10 more Christmases with tinsel tangling your fingers, 100 more games with grandkids kicking leaves in the yard, 1,000 more I love yous murmured over tea as the sun dips low. Don't wait for the silence that swallowed John. Live loud, live strong, live full. You're worth every sunrise, every laugh, every breath, and so are they. Step up, fight back, love hard, the world needs your light, and it's yours to keep ablaze, tonight and always.